Are you wondering, what's wrong with me? After a breakup, it's hard not to take rejection personally, especially in an intimate relationship. Let's talk about some valuable concepts to consider in order for you to lift yourself out of feeling like you're not good enough. Hi, I'm Patty Blue Hayes, author, coach, and your guide to blossoming beyond heartbreak and cultivating hope as you sow the seeds of healing. If you haven't read the book, The Four Agreements, I highly recommend that you do. It's a powerful guide written by Don Miguel Ruiz towards personal autonomy, inner peace, and spiritual growth based on Toltec wisdom. When someone decides they no longer want to be in a relationship with us, or tells us they don't love us anymore, it's normal to feel like we are defective in some way. After all, there was a time when they loved us and treated us well. We automatically come to the conclusion that we have somehow turned bad, like milk past the expiration date. But when we look at that logically, it doesn't make sense. There are two people in the relationship. Why would we take full responsibility for someone else's decision? We don't take 100% responsibility when they love and adore us. In those times, we recognize that the love we feel is an energy resulting from the combination of two people, two individual people, each with their own history, personality, values, level of growth, mental and emotional frameworks, day-to-day experiences, and degree of ego. Imagine if we based our thoughts and feelings about our worth, value, lovability on everyone else's behavior toward us or their opinions about us. We'd go mad. We are all projecting out into the world what's going on within us. Please help me to continue to create these videos by subscribing to my channel if you find this content valuable. Let me share a story about one way this concept became clear as I reflected back on the events. I lived in Los Angeles, where traffic can be a bit of a nightmare and drivers can be aggressive, weaving in and out of lanes. At times I took their behavior personally, like they were somehow intentionally targeting me to piss me off. One day I was running late to attend the funeral of a dear friend, and I was bringing her cremains to the church, which was a few zip codes away from where I picked up her ashes. My heart was pounding, my adrenaline was surging. I started driving a bit more assertively. And then, when I cut in front of another car, I realized that all those other drivers weren't out to get me, personally. They had their own circumstances within themselves that motivated their behavior. Maybe they were getting to the hospital in time for the birth of a baby or the death of a family member. And maybe they're just being jerks. Either way, it has nothing to do with us. We unconsciously do this every day. We think someone is looking at us funny when they might not be looking at us at all, but squinting to see something behind us. We might be rude to the cashier at the market because we've waited in line after getting a flat tire and we're running late. If my behavior is based on my reality, then so is my partner's. Something is going on within them that has caused them to disconnect from the relationship. This doesn't mean that we don't have opportunities to examine our behavior and what might have been our part in the relationship, but we are not fundamentally flawed as human beings because a relationship has ended. There is great personal freedom to be found when we allow other people to be who they are, based on their internal mechanisms. When we no longer carry the weight of other people's opinions, judgments, and reactions, we develop a peaceful inner landscape. The ego, the part that has us feeling so insecure, diminishes when we detach our need for approval and validation from other people. This also opens the door toward our spiritual growth and greater personal awareness and sense of autonomy. We can become more compassionate toward ourselves and others when we know that each person is on their own individual journey, often with struggles and challenges that we know nothing about. One of the most insightful things I read was in Mary Mannon Morrissey's book, Building Your Field of Dreams. In it, she wrote that hurt people hurt others. This was the exact thing I needed to hear in order to make some sense of my ex's heartless behavior. He was clearly struggling with something within himself. I know that when I've been hurting inside, my behavior was not aligned with my highest version of myself. Reading that sentence brought me to a greater place of understanding and compassion. Taking things personally is often a product of fear. We may fear rejection, judgment, or failure. If we are constantly judging ourselves based on other people's opinions or actions, we are giving away our personal power. It's energetically depleting to be so hyper-aware of external and ever-changing data inputs. When we let go of taking things personally, those fears dissolve and we develop our strong core of personal superpower. It's from this internal strength that we then move towards a state of greater autonomy, resilience, and spiritual alignment. If you're looking for support on how to achieve greater personal autonomy, cognitive behavioral therapy might be an option for you to explore. Through a variety of techniques, a therapist can introduce you to cognitive restructuring, which is helpful in changing negative thought patterns and challenging our irrational beliefs. When we find ourselves taking something personally, we identify the negative thoughts and beliefs associated with the situation and then challenge these thoughts by asking ourselves if they are based on evidence, if they are overly negative, and if there are alternative, more balanced perspectives we can take. CBT also includes mindfulness and self-awareness as a practice of being fully present and aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment. Mindfulness allows you to observe your thoughts and emotions without immediately reacting to them. This increased self-awareness can help you detach from personalizing situations and take a more objective perspective. Another CBT technique is to use empathy and perspective taking. When faced with a situation we might react emotionally, we can try to empathize with the other person. Consider their perspective, motivations, and emotions. This doesn't mean we're going to accept inappropriate behavior, but being empathetic can help you understand that their actions may be more about them than about you. The important thing to remember is that you're trying to make positive changes. With each video you watch, book you read, affirmation you speak, you are making progress. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like things will ever change, but the only constant thing in life is change. So it will happen. Remember, you're on a journey of healing and transformation. The seed does not become a blossom overnight.